Hey everyone, how you doing? Thanks for watching. So I'm going to do a video just really quickly on whether you should invest in cryptocurrencies or not. Now, as you can see, I've already answered this question, so thank you for watching the video. If you do continue watching, I'm going to give you just a few reasons why. So first of all, there's an opportunity with cryptocurrencies that kind of get glazed over a little bit. Everyone talks about it's the new thing, but it's really hard to break it down. So I just made just a quick slide for you guys to understand. So there's three things with this opportunity. There's the fact that it's brand spanking new. I mean, spanking new. You know what I'm saying? This is a brand new baby. It's brand new technology. It's only been out a few years now, and it's taken off like gangbusters. It's finally starting to be adopted by large companies and having some actual money put behind it. So it's getting staying power. It's still an early entry in the space. I mean, it's so immature, we're not even really utilizing it for anything when you think about it. I mean, sure, you can spend Bitcoin on a few things here and there, but I mean, you have like the Ethereum blockchain, you've got all these other blockchains and things that say they do things, but we really haven't seen it yet. There's some decentralized storage that's actually live you can take advantage of, but I mean, really in our day-to-day lives, it doesn't affect anything. So there's tons of upside potential as these things gain hold. So, and in the short term, there's huge short-term gains to be had if you know what you're doing on the investment side, if you're patient, and if you're really willing to educate yourself in trading generally in the currencies themselves so you know what you're investing in, which is extremely important. And there's also very interesting tech. It's really cool to see what they're doing with these blockchain technologies and how things are evolving. IOTA, for example, IOTA is a cryptocurrency based on something called a tangle versus a blockchain. It's a very similar style, but the tangle kind of, jumps from me to you to them to him instead of a blockchain, which it's a block and a line and a block and a line. Anyway, it's a different way of thinking of the blockchain. It's pretty revolutionary for 2017. But long term, there's massive gains to be had. I mean, think about this. You've heard the numbers, right? Like $10,000 in Bitcoin is like $400 million today. That's no joke. I mean, that's the kind of money that you spend on the lottery and hope to win that. But anyone could have done that if they would have invested in Bitcoin in like 2010. So, or whenever it came out, exactly, traded. So there's massive gains to be had, and there's still some out there. I mean, look, you're probably not going to find a currency that's going to do that again. Although I will say this, just like anything in life, there's going to be something that comes along and hits everyone upside of the head so hard, and it makes so much money that it's unbelievable. And it may even put Bitcoin to shame someday. The question is knowing what that's going to be. Okay, and this is something I've been thinking about long term. You know, we have these paper wallets, the term's evading me at the moment. The cold wallets, not the hot wallets, the cold wallets, the ones that live on pieces of paper. If you were to print off one of these hard wallets and hand it to a kid or a grandkid or someone like that, that's like giving someone a savings bond from the government back in the 50s. You know, you're giving them something that is going to have value in the future, especially if it's one of the top currencies like Bitcoin or something like that. You will drive Ferraris in the long term if you do this correctly and properly. And it's also lifelong learning, which I think is really fun. Like I said, the technology is fantastic. But along with that comes some risks as well. Anything in life has good and bad, and cryptocurrency is no different. So first of all, it's unknown what will be successful. Now, we all know Bitcoin's successful, obviously. It's kind of the de facto standard for cryptocurrencies. People are relating it to gold, basically gold. You know, they're kind of saying it doesn't do anything, it sits there, it looks pretty, and it just kind of works. But we know Ethereum is getting traction, but who knows, the Ethereum blockchain we could find another flaw in it in 2 years and everyone could switch over to Ripple. Ripple could be the de facto standard at that point because maybe it becomes so ingrained in their business model that they have to do something similar. I don't know. Government could shut it down in your country. Now, there have been some attempts in some countries to do this. I'm pretty sure the U.S. is thinking about it because, power and all that stuff. But that is a risk you have to take. You could wake up one morning and your $4,000 Bitcoin could be worth $300 because they really found a way to shut Bitcoin down in the United States or even somewhere else throughout the world. But I would say this isn't a massive risk strictly for the fact that cryptocurrencies are worldwide. They're decentralized for a reason, so governments can't shut them down, but they can still try and affect the market. And there's also no real market penetration. And if this continues for a long period of time, I have a feeling investors could get a little bit deflated on the technology, and they could move in and ruin your investments. Short term, it's very volatile short term. And because there's inexperienced investors and traders doing this. Now, granted, there are some really big ones that really know what they're doing, but guys like you and me watching this, some people just don't know what they're doing. They don't take the time to get educated. They just kind of buy on a whim, and hey, a lot of people are going to get lucky in this, but the second this starts to become a skilled game, people are going to lose money. I mean, long term, there's not too much that can go wrong. You can go broke. That's pretty much it, right? If something goes wrong, you could lose your investment. So do not invest with money you cannot afford to lose. You don't want to, if you have to pay rent next week, you don't invest in Bitcoin. If you have to buy a car, you don't invest in Ethereum, okay? And you can also waste time and energy on something that will be nothing. You know, you invest your life into this thing, quit your job, do this and that, then all of a sudden blockchain's gone. Highly unlikely, but it is a risk. So what are the challenges that cryptocurrency has ahead of it? So challenge one, we have to expand the audience. Not too many people know of anything past Bitcoin. You talk about Ethereum, you talk about IOTA, you talk about Pay or 10x. No one knows about these things, and they're going to become more mainstream, but that's going to take a while. It needs to be adopted for everyday use, and there's a saying, sell to the masses, live with the rich. As soon as we can get this in the hands of moms and pops that don't know anything about technology, that's when this thing is really going to accelerate. If they can see value in it, if it helps them in some fashion in their day-to-day lives, sell to the masses, live with the rich will become a thing. Easy to use tech. Crypto needs to be easy to use. 10x is an interesting technology that's kind of doing this. If you have cryptocurrencies, you can make transactions with 10x. It's fantastic. I think that's the first real world example that I've seen of actually using cryptocurrencies. It used to be less techie and more mainstream. Yes, it's built by techies, but hey, I don't know the percentage, but I'm guessing maybe 20%, 10% of the overall population of the globe is techie. It needs to be more mainstream, more simple to use, easier to get money in and out. We have Bitcoin ATMs now, which is a good start, but there needs to be more adoption between banks and things like that. When I can go to my Wells Fargo and I can trade my US dollar for Bitcoin through Wells Fargo, I know we've made a step. And government acceptance is going to need to happen at some point. If we don't have the acceptance of the government, then it's going to be an uphill battle. Not that it's not going to happen, and not that it's going to become mainstream with or without government acceptance. However, it would be huge if the government accepts cryptocurrencies. Maybe not necessarily for payment, but maybe they use the blockchains themselves for some operations, but that seems too efficient for government. It's also bad if they're going to try to outlaw the cryptocurrencies. Just a lot of headwind. Now, again, it is decentralized, but headwind to any kind of thing like this is bad. So I drew a little timeline here that is just completely arbitrary. Just thinking about Bitcoin, where it's headed, and just general cryptocurrencies. People tend to judge the health of the cryptocurrency market on what Bitcoin's doing. So I just kind of drew some stuff in here. 3-year increments seem to be fairly simple. 2014, Bitcoin was, I don't know. Well, actually I do know. Bitcoin was, I think, about $300 to $400 to $500, depending on what part of 2014. But as of today, Bitcoin was right at $4,000. So in 2017. So in 2020, 3 years from now, 2017, Bitcoin right now is accepted at 100,000 merchants. And that sounds like a lot, and it is, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure there's like a few million merchants. So we're very infant in this sector. So 2020, in 3 years from now, I can just imagine many cryptocurrencies will be accepted worldwide. Now, 10x or Pay will help us do this in a very seamless fashion, which is fantastic. that's really what we need. And they have a technology that I was just looking at that I forget the name of, that is kind of like a link between the blockchains where they can communicate with one another, kind of like TCP/IP back before the internet. So this is kind of hoping to link all these blockchains together, which I think is the next step to really make things flow smoothly. And they're saying 2020 is their hard adoption timeline. So many cryptocurrencies will be accepted worldwide by 2020, and Bitcoin, I'm thinking maybe $15,000, give or take. Obviously, who knows, right? 2023, I think it'll be really easy to make transactions, able to easily make transactions like walking into Walgreens and filling out your prescription and having it on file or something like that. That'd be pretty simple. By 2026, I mean, everyone is going to use crypto in some shape or form, and you don't really think about it anymore. You just think, do I want it to come out of my bank account, my credit card, or my cryptocurrency? I mean, that could be a thing if some of these blockchains become extraordinarily useful. But either way, I think by 2029, looking out in the future there, used in many aspects of life today. And I put question marks in terms of the Bitcoin price strictly because, what am I going to say, $1 million? That's ridiculous. I don't think that's actually going to happen. Now, I'm going to own Bitcoins until 2029, so if it does happen, I'll be ecstatic. And you'll hear from me. But if it doesn't happen, it is what it is. But the main thing I wanted to point out is that Bitcoin is the de facto standard for cryptocurrencies, and it's an extremely important cryptocurrency because it sets the benchmark, kind of like the US dollar does. Everyone is likening Bitcoin to gold, and in a way it is, because gold is some thing you dig out of the ground. Granted, gold's awesome. I mean, it doesn't corrode. It's like infinitely flexible. I mean, not flexy, but you can pound it with a hammer until it's thinner than a human hair. They put these things on integrated circuits, and the gold is so thin you can't even recycle it and get any money. It's crazy. That's how thin you can get gold. So it's a really cool metal. But I mean, money in reality has no value. You can't drink it, you can't eat it, you can't live on it. So it doesn't really matter. But Bitcoin being compared to gold is fantastic. It's great for us as cryptocurrency investors. So I wanted to show you something regarding, let me jump into my slide here, regarding the dollar. The dollar is the world's de facto currency at the moment, and probably for the foreseeable future. So this is a chart going all the way back to 1953, if you see here. You can see the URL if you want to type that in. So, kind of flatlined and then had a big pop here. I'm pretty sure this is when the gold standard went away. And then, so, this is kind of like Bitcoin, right? So it kind of pops around, flows around. This is against by the way, this is against the Great British Pound. When you're comparing a currency or anything of value, you need to compare it to something else. So art is in comparison to dollars. Cars and houses are in comparison to dollars. So just like Bitcoin is going to be in comparison to dollars, but if we're going to compare things to Bitcoin, we need to look at it. Anyway, so U.S. dollar against Great British Pound, it's really settled down in terms of it from 50 to 70 cents. So crypto is going to kind of go through this, and I don't know if we're here, I don't know if we're here, I don't know if we're here, but at some point Bitcoin is going to kind of settle down, and people are going to trade it up and down, and it's going to be great. But the US dollar trades in micro percents per day sometimes. So we're not going to get, the 1,000% leaps. So I don't know if we're going to get to Bitcoin 100,000, Bitcoin million, but, in terms of what a de facto currency standard can do, it can do this, because this is the past. This is the US dollar from 1953. So right after World War II, and then all the way through the gas crunch, through the letting go of the gold standard to the 1980s. So this is the 70s. You got the gas crisis in here somewhere. You've got, there's all kinds of stuff happening in here. But so Bitcoin's going to go through the same thing. And so should you invest in crypto? So you have the answer in front of you somewhere. You just need to decide if it's for you or if it's not for you. Yeah, so should you invest? There's a big opportunity here. The massive gains, the being able to give wealth to kids other than something in the US dollar and other than gold, I think is valuable too. Driving Ferraris is also fun. So there's the opportunity. Are you willing to accept the risks of cryptocurrencies? I don't see a lot of risk. I see a ton of upside. I think as long as you invest money that you're willing to part with and sit on the sideline for years and years, in one way or another, I think it's fantastic. Whether you hold it short term or hold it long term, that's a decision you have to make. I think you do both, and I'm going to do both. I'm a trader by nature, so while I'm going to be investing in Bitcoin for the long haul, along with some other core cryptocurrencies, and I'll walk you through my trading plan on that, I am also going to be trading it because we do have these currencies that go up hundreds of percents in the matter of days and weeks, and within years you're going to get tenfold in these. And I think that's where the investing is really going to pay off. I think the trading is going to be more for entertainment and kind of excitement because it is fun. It's fun to learn about the stuff and it's fun to make money. So should you invest in cryptocurrencies? Absolutely. Have a good day.